Picture this. It's 7 p.m. on a Tuesday evening. The house is quiet, not the peaceful kind of quiet, but the heavy, almost suffocating kind that seems to press against your chest. Your dinner plates are cleaned and put away. The evening news has just ended, and you're sitting there in your favorite chair, the same chair you've sat in for years, wondering, is this what the rest of my life looks like? Maybe you're watching this because you're living this reality right now. Maybe it's your mom or dad who comes to mind when I paint this picture. Or maybe you're one of those people who lies awake at night, staring at the ceiling, terrified that this could be your future. If any of this hits home, if you're watching this video, chances are you or someone you deeply care about is facing the reality of aging alone. And I want you to know something right now, before we go any further. Being alone doesn't have to mean being lonely, unhealthy, or mentally weak. You see, there's this lie that our society has been telling us for far too long. It's the lie that says once you reach a certain age, once your spouse is gone, once your kids have their own busy lives, once your body starts slowing down, that somehow you're supposed to just fade away. Accept less, expect less. Be grateful for whatever scraps of life are left. But I'm here to tell you that's complete nonsense. Whether you're preparing for your own golden years, and let's be real, they can actually be golden, or you're trying to help a parent, a grandparent, or someone you love navigate this journey, the strategies I'm about to share with you could literally be the difference between simply surviving and truly thriving in your later years. Because let's be honest for a moment, growing old alone is one of our deepest, most primal fears. It keeps us up at night. It makes us hold on to relationships that aren't serving us. It makes us compromise our independence because we're terrified of what being alone might mean. But here's the truth that nobody talks about. It doesn't have to be your reality. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to share 4 science-backed strategies that can completely transform how you experience aging alone. And when I say transform, I don't mean some feel-good rainbows and unicorns kind of transformation. I'm talking about practical, proven methods backed by real research that address your physical health, your mental strength, and your emotional well-being. These are strategies that real people just like you have used to not just survive their later years alone, but to discover that these can be the most authentic, purposeful, and yes, joyful years of their entire lives. And I promise you, the 4th strategy I'm going to share will surprise you. It's something most people never consider, but it might just change everything about how you view your remaining years on this earth. Before we dive in, I need to know, are you here because you care about aging gracefully and maintaining your independence? Are you tired of the fear and ready to take back control? If that's you, comment "I'm ready" below. I want to see who's in this with me, and if this is your first time on Elder Wisdom, hit that subscribe button right now. We're building something special here, a community of people who refuse to accept that our best years have to be behind us. We believe that life doesn't end at 65 or 75 or 85. It just gets more intentional. Strategy number 1, create your connection ecosystem. Let me tell you about Margaret. She's a 72-year-old widow I met last year, and when I first spoke with her, she broke my heart. Margaret told me that after her husband of 48 years passed away, she felt completely invisible, like the world had moved on without her, like she was watching life through a window but could never quite reach the handle to open it and step back in. She'd go days, sometimes an entire week, without speaking to another human being, except for the grocery store clerk, who'd ask if she found everything okay. Can you imagine that? Days without hearing your own voice, without someone saying your name, without feeling seen or heard or valued. Margaret would sit at her kitchen table every morning with her coffee, and she told me she'd actually talk to her late husband's picture just to break the silence. Sound familiar? Maybe you know this feeling, or maybe you've watched someone you love disappear into this kind of isolation. But Margaret's story didn't end there. Her life completely changed when she discovered what I call the connection ecosystem. And before you roll your eyes and think this is going to be some complicated social networking scheme, hear me out. Here's what the research tells us, and this comes from Harvard's Grant study, one of the longest-running studies on human happiness ever conducted. Social connections are the strongest predictor of happiness and health in our later years. Not money, not achievement, not even physical health, relationships. But here's what most people get completely wrong about this. It's not about having hundreds of friends or being the life of the party. It's not about forced socialization or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about creating multiple layers of meaningful connection that don't depend on just one person or one source. Think of it like an ecosystem in nature. You don't want all your eggs in one basket, relying on just one tree to provide all the oxygen. You want a forest. Most people think that once their spouse is gone or their kids move away and get busy with their own lives, they're destined for loneliness. They sit at home waiting for the phone to ring, waiting for others to reach out. Or they convince themselves that technology is too complicated, that it's too late to make new friends, that nobody wants to be around someone their age. But I'm here to tell you something. Isolation is a choice, not an inevitability. Your connection ecosystem has 3 simple layers, and you don't need to master all 3 at once. First, there's your inner circle. These are 1 or 2 people you connect with regularly, maybe weekly. These might be old friends, siblings, adult children, or new friends you haven't met yet. Then there's your community circle. These are your neighbors, people you volunteer with, hobby groups, maybe folks at your place of worship if you attend one. Finally, there's your digital circle, video calls with family, online communities, even social media groups focused on your interests. Margaret started with just 1 layer. She made a commitment to herself to say hello to 1 neighbor each day when she checked her mail. Just 1 person, just a simple good morning or how are you today? 6 months later, Margaret had weekly coffee dates with 3 different neighbors. She was volunteering at the local animal shelter twice a week, and she was having video calls with her grandchildren who live across the country. She went from invisible to integral in her community. But connection alone isn't enough if your body isn't keeping up. If you're too weak to get out and engage with the world, if you're too tired to enjoy the relationships you're building, if you don't have the energy to participate in life, then even the best connection ecosystem won't help you thrive. That's where our second strategy becomes absolutely crucial. Strategy number 2, master the minimum effective dose of movement. Meet Frank. He's 78 years old and lives alone in a small apartment on the 2nd floor of an older building. 2 years ago, Frank could barely walk to his mailbox at the end of his street without getting completely winded. He'd have to stop twice, lean against a fence post, catch his breath, and by the time he made it back home, he'd be exhausted for the rest of the day. Frank told me, with tears in his eyes, I'm too old and weak to start exercising now. I missed my chance. My body is failing me and there's nothing I can do about it. He was convinced that ship had sailed, that he was destined to get weaker and more dependent every day, until eventually he wouldn't be able to live alone anymore. But today, Frank walks 2 miles every single morning. Not just walks, he strides with purpose, with energy, with more vitality than people half his age. He climbs those stairs to his apartment 2 at a time. He carries his own groceries. He even started a small garden on his balcony. What changed everything for Frank? He stopped thinking about exercise and started thinking about movement. Here's what the science tells us, and this is important. Studies show that just 150 minutes of moderate movement per week, that's roughly 20 minutes a day, less time than you spend watching the evening news, can reduce your risk of falls by 30%, improve your cognitive function, boost your mood, strengthen your immune system, and literally add years to your life. But when you're starting from zero, when you're feeling weak or unsteady, when you maybe haven't moved your body intentionally in months or years, traditional exercise advice can feel not just overwhelming, but downright dangerous. People think they need gym memberships with those intimidating machines, fancy equipment they don't know how to use, or hour-long workouts that leave them sore and discouraged. They compare themselves to their younger selves. I used to run marathons, or I used to dance all night, and they give up before they even start. Or worse, they push too hard too fast, get injured, and then convince themselves this confirms what they always believed. They're too old for this. But what if I told you that everything you think you know about exercise in your later years is wrong? The minimum effective dose approach starts with just 5 minutes a day. 5, not 50, not 15, 5. Week 1, Frank's homework was simple. Walk to his mailbox and back, twice. That's it. Week 2, we added 1 more lap around his living room after dinner. Week 3, he marched in place during TV commercials. We built the habit first. The intensity came later. Frank started by doing arm circles while watching the morning news, literally just sitting in his chair, moving his arms in circles for 2 minutes while the weather came on. Now he's training for a 5K walk to raise money for his local library. He's not running it. He's walking it with pride, with strength, with the confidence that comes from knowing your body is getting stronger instead of weaker every day. The key is progression, not perfection. Your body doesn't care if you're moving fast or slow, in a gym or in your kitchen, wearing workout clothes or your pajamas. Your body only cares that you're moving it regularly, consistently, with just a little bit more challenge than the day before. Physical strength supports mental strength, but there's a specific type of mental fitness that becomes even more critical when you're spending more time on your own, when you're relying on your mind to stay sharp, engaged, and resilient. Strategy number 3, develop your cognitive reserve account. Eleanor is 81 years old, and last month she called me in tears. I could hear the fear in her voice as she said, "I feel like my mind is betraying me. I forget words that I've used my whole life. I lose track of conversations halfway through. I walk into rooms and can't remember why I'm there. Sometimes I wonder if this is the beginning of the end, if I'm losing myself piece by piece." Maybe you've felt this fear. Maybe you've noticed your own memory isn't quite what it used to be. Or maybe you've watched someone you love struggle with forgetting names, dates, or stories that used to come so easily. It's terrifying because our minds are who we are, and when they start to feel unreliable, we start to feel lost. But here's what happened with Eleanor. 6 weeks after that tearful phone call, she called me again. This time, she was laughing. She said, "I feel sharper than I have in years. I'm remembering things I thought were gone forever. I'm having deeper conversations. I'm even solving problems better than I used to." What happened in those 6 weeks wasn't magic. It was intentional cognitive training. Neuroscientists use the term cognitive reserve, and I want you to think of it as your brain's savings account. Just like a financial savings account protects you when unexpected expenses come up, your cognitive reserve protects your thinking abilities when age-related changes happen in your brain. And just like a savings account, the more you deposit through mental challenges and new learning, the more you have to draw from when you need it. But here's the key that most people miss. It has to be the right kind of challenge, and it has to be consistent. Your brain is like a muscle, but it's not enough to just do the same mental push-ups every day. People think crossword puzzles and Sudoku are enough to keep their mind sharp, or they fall into the trap of believing that cognitive decline is inevitable. So why bother trying? Others jump into complex online brain training programs that promise miraculous results but end up frustrating them more than helping. The truth is, your brain needs novelty and progressive challenge, not just repetition. Your cognitive reserve account needs 3 types of regular deposits, and Eleanor mastered all 3. First, you need to learn something completely new, something that challenges your brain to create new neural pathways. Eleanor started learning Spanish on her tablet, 15 minutes every morning with her coffee. She'd never spoken a word of Spanish in her life, but she'd always dreamed of traveling to Mexico. Second, you need social problem-solving activities. This means engaging with other people in situations that require you to think, discuss, and work through ideas together. Eleanor joined a book club at her library where they didn't just read books. They debated them, analyzed them, discussed how the themes related to their own lives. Third, and this one surprised Eleanor, you need physical cognitive combinations. These are activities that challenge your body and your mind at the same time. Eleanor started taking a Tai Chi class at her community center. She also began playing catch with her 7-year-old great-grandson when he visits. Sounds simple, but tracking a moving ball while coordinating your body's response is incredibly good for your brain. Eleanor chose Spanish because she'd always wanted to travel, and guess what? She's now planning her first trip to Mexico at age 81. She's going with 2 friends from her book club, and she's excited to use her new language skills in real conversations. The beautiful thing about building your cognitive reserve account is that it doesn't just prevent decline. It can actually improve your thinking abilities beyond where they were before. Eleanor isn't just maintaining her mental sharpness. She's actually gotten smarter, more curious, more engaged with the world around her. But even with strong connections, a healthy body, and a sharp mind, there's one more element that ties everything together and gives your life the meaning and purpose that makes all the other strategies worthwhile. And this one might surprise you. Strategy number 4, cultivate your legacy project. Robert is 75 years old, and when he first reached out to me, he was in a dark place. He told me, "I feel completely useless. I retired 5 years ago. My kids are busy with their own careers and families. I don't have grandchildren, and honestly, I wake up every morning wondering what the point of my remaining years is supposed to be. I feel like I'm just taking up space waiting to die. Robert had been a successful business consultant his whole career, but retirement felt like being put out to pasture. He felt invisible, irrelevant, like all his knowledge and experience had suddenly become worthless just because he'd reached a certain age. Sound familiar? Maybe you felt this way, or maybe you've watched someone you love struggle with the loss of purpose that can come with aging. But Robert's story took a dramatic turn when he started what I call a legacy project. Today, Robert mentors young entrepreneurs who are just starting their businesses. He meets with them once a week, helps them avoid the mistakes he made, shares the wisdom he's gained from decades of experience. And he told me just last week, for the first time in years, I wake up excited about what the day might bring. I feel needed again, valuable again, like my life still matters. Here's what the research tells us about this, and it's fascinating. Scientists study something called generativity. That's the concern for establishing and guiding the next generation, for contributing something meaningful that will outlast us. And it turns out, generativity is one of the strongest predictors of life satisfaction and mental health in older adults. When we feel like we're contributing something meaningful that will outlast us, when we know that our knowledge and experience are helping someone else succeed or grow or avoid pain, our brains release the same neurochemicals associated with purpose and joy that we felt during our prime working years. It's like our brains are wired to find meaning in giving back, in passing on what we've learned. But people think legacy projects have to be grand or require special skills they don't have. They assume no one wants to hear from someone their age, that younger people aren't interested in old-fashioned wisdom, or they wait for the perfect project to reveal itself like some kind of divine inspiration. Some people think legacy is only about family, about passing things down to children and grandchildren, but that's just one option among many. Your legacy project should answer this simple question: what do I know or have experienced that could help someone else? It doesn't have to be professional knowledge, though it can be. Maybe you know how to garden, how to cook traditional family recipes, how to budget and save money, how to navigate difficult relationships, how to recover from loss, how to raise children, how to care for aging parents, how to find joy in simple things. It could be mentoring young people in your former profession, like Robert does. It could be recording family stories and life lessons for future generations. It could be teaching a skill you've mastered to people in your community. It could be volunteering for a cause you care about, using your experience to make a real difference. It could even be creating art, writing, or music that expresses your life's journey and the wisdom you've gained. Robert started small, 1 hour a week offering free business advice at the local small business development center. He was nervous at first, convinced that young entrepreneurs wouldn't want to listen to someone his age. But word spread quickly about the value of his insights, his practical advice, his ability to help people avoid costly mistakes. That 1 hour a week grew into a formal mentorship program that he now coordinates. He's helped launch dozens of successful businesses, and several of his mentees have become close friends. He's not just passing on business knowledge, he's passing on life wisdom, resilience, the kind of perspective that only comes from living through decades of challenges and triumphs. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking right now. this all sounds good, but what if I'm already struggling? What if I'm already isolated, already weak, already feeling mentally fuzzy? What if it feels too late for me? Let me address that head on. I want to acknowledge something that doesn't get talked about enough in our society, something that gets brushed under the rug because it makes people uncomfortable. Aging alone can feel absolutely terrifying. It can feel like you're racing against time, like your best days are not just behind you, but so far behind you that you can barely remember what it felt like to have energy, purpose, excitement about the future. It can feel like you're becoming a burden rather than a blessing, like people are just being polite when they spend time with you, like you're taking up space in a world that values youth and productivity above all else. If you're feeling any of this right now, if these words are hitting you right in the chest, I want you to know something. You're not alone in feeling this way, and you're not wrong to feel this way. These feelings are completely valid, completely understandable, and they're also not permanent. I've had hundreds of conversations with people just like you, people who thought their story was basically over, who believed they were just marking time until the inevitable. And here's what I've learned from every single one of these conversations. Your later years alone can actually be your most authentic, purposeful, and joyful years yet. I'm not saying this because I'm trying to make you feel better or because I'm peddling some kind of toxic positivity. I'm saying it because I've seen it happen over and over again, not because you're pretending that aging isn't hard. It is hard, not because you're ignoring the real challenges of growing older. They're real, but because you're approaching this phase of your life with intention, instead of just hoping for the best and accepting whatever comes your way. Every strategy we've discussed today is really about one thing: taking back control of your story. You get to decide whether your remaining years are about decline or growth, about isolation or connection, about feeling useless or feeling vital. You get to choose whether you're going to be a victim of your circumstances or the author of your next chapter. So here's what I want you to do right now before you click away from this video, before you go back to whatever you were doing, before you let the momentum of this moment slip away. I want you to choose just one of these 4 strategies, not all 4, just one, and commit to trying it for the next 7 days. Maybe it's connection and you're going to say hello to one neighbor this week. Maybe it's movement and you're going to walk to your mailbox twice instead of once, or march in place during one TV commercial break. Maybe it's cognitive training and you're going to spend 15 minutes learning something new on your phone or computer. Or maybe it's legacy and you're going to spend some time this week thinking about what wisdom or knowledge you have that could help someone else. Just one strategy, 7 days. That's it. Because here's what I know about change. It doesn't happen in grand gestures or dramatic transformations. It happens in small, consistent actions that build momentum over time. Remember this: growing old alone doesn't mean growing old lonely, weak, or forgotten. It means you get to write this chapter of your life exactly as you want it, without having to compromise or accommodate anyone else's timeline or expectations. And from where I sit, having watched so many people transform their later years from something they endured into something they actually enjoyed, that sounds like the ultimate freedom. Let's quickly recap the 4 strategies we covered today, because I want to make sure you leave here with a clear roadmap. First, build your connection ecosystem with multiple layers of relationships: your inner circle, your community circle, and your digital circle. Don't rely on just one source for all your social needs. Second, Master the minimum effective dose of daily movement. Start with just 5 minutes a day and build the habit before you worry about intensity. Your body wants to get stronger, you just have to give it the opportunity. Third, develop your cognitive reserve account through new learning and challenges. Feed your brain novelty, social problem solving, and physical cognitive combinations. Your mind can actually get sharper with age if you give it the right kind of exercise. And fourth, cultivate a legacy project that gives your days meaning and purpose. Figure out what you know that could help someone else and find a way to share that gift with the world. Now, I'm genuinely curious about something, and I want to hear from you in the comments. Which of these 4 strategies resonates most with you right now? Are you someone who needs more connection, more movement, more mental stimulation, or more purpose? Drop a comment and let me know where you're going to start. And if you're already doing one of these things, if you've got a success story or even a struggle you're working through, share your experience. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to take their first step. If you found real value in today's video, if something I said made you think differently about your future, or gave you hope you didn't have before, consider subscribing to ElderWisdom. We're building something special here, a community of people who believe that aging is not about declining, it's about evolving. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss our upcoming videos about thriving, not just surviving in your golden years. Thank you for spending these few minutes with me today. Thank you for being open to the possibility that your best years might still be ahead of you. Remember this, your age is not your cage, it's your stage. You get to decide what performance you're going to give on that stage. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and keep writing your story. I'll see you in the next video.